just in case I get
Okay,
Zuckerberg.
got it.
Hi, everybody. Episode 1172. Sorry, Melissa, you weren't my first. I have the
Oh no.
oh no. I have the most amazing comedian here today. I know her IRL. For you old people, that's in real life. I didn't know it, so I didn't expect you to. So let me read you the intro and let's get into her life before, during, and whatever she wants to leave the world with after she gets old and dies, like I'm gonna do. So let me read this intro. Melissa Diaz knows how to turn tragedy into comedy. I love that. Growing up hood adjacent in San Jose to immigrant parents, she grew up fast and tough, ran away to Las Vegas at 17 and has seen a lot. Her journey has been full of twists and turns. A sober comic with wild stories to tell with both will both inspire and make you laugh. I know that IRL. She says, I started comedy to help humans find laughter in the darkness. Let's play. Hi.
Let's do it, Linda.
Yay. I'm so happy you're here. I haven't seen you since I moved here in January. How is
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Vegas is great. It's getting warmer now, so the hellfire's coming. Don't come travel here. Actually, do come travel here because we need the tourism. But Vegas has been awesome. I've been doing the Cornish show every 2 weeks, so it's been fun to like help showcase all my friends that are in town. And I just started rotating in hosts. So had a lot of my comedian friends being like, "Hey, like if you ever need a host, if you want the night off," and I'm like, "Oh, that's actually amazing because then I don't have to focus on the whole show, but then someone else can start getting like host experience." So that's something that I'm really glad that I started doing.
That's so fabulous. So your show is in the Arts District, and what night of the week is that?
It's on Tuesday nights, and we do the second and fourth Tuesday of every month at 7:30. It's at Cornish Pasty, which is in the Arts District just off of Main and Charleston.
Very good. I'm going to be in town July 15th to the 22nd, and there's a
15.
Tuesday in there that I'm free to, if you get a spot for me in July. I think it would be the 16th.
Ooh, let's see if that's a second or a fourth Tuesday of that month.
How opportunistic am I on this interview?
You're so cute.
July 15th.
Oh, that's an off week.
Yeah,
Dang it.
no
Come
problem.
before. Come before.
I'll come again.
Oh, okay. I
That's
see
something
what
I
you did
didn't
there.
do in my marriage. So now I'm making.
Fucking same. Okay. That's why we're divorced, Linda.
Thank you. If they could only find our G spot, we would be loyal.
Bro, you just play with the hat. That's all you gotta do.
That's it. Yeah.
Ring the doorbell.
It's like
What?
hood adjacent. There you go. There's a new joke for you.
Pop the hood open, you lazy bum.
So let's talk about Melissa.
Yeah.
It says you grew up in San Jose
Yep.
and hood adjacent with immigrant parents. I have to hear the
Yes.
story.
Yeah. So I was born and raised. I was born in 1984. She's old. I know. But I think my youthful face, because I'm brown, I am Mexican. But grew up in San Jose, California. My parents immigrated here from Mexico. I'm first generation here in America. My parents actually went through the process and like became citizens like in the 80s, like the right way. So we're not illegal. Don't come after us, ICE. Leave my parents alone. They went to the classes, they took the tests. But yeah, I grew up there. And from what my mom told me when we were really little, we lived in this apartment that was like in downtown San Jose. I don't know if you've been to San Jose, but downtown's not the best now. Imagine it in the 80s. My mom also told me that my dad was in jail for a little bit while she was pregnant with me. So that's pretty dope. She never told me why. I'm gonna guess it was like DUI or something because like most Latin parents' alcoholism is a thing, which is why we're sober now. But anyway, grew up in like this really weird, like tiny apartment, and then eventually moved into like a house with my parents. And I would have been like maybe in kindergarten when we moved into the house. But you could always like see the gangsters and you can hear the gunshots, but they were just far away enough that they weren't close enough to be a threat. But at 9 years old, my friends and I made up this game. You know, like you make up like not you don't make up games, but you play like Red Rover or you climb a tree or whatever. We're playing a game called Drive By. Kids shouldn't even know what the hell a drive by is. Okay. I was 9 years old with like the neighborhood kids, and we made up this game. So, like, if ever there was a car that drove by, any one of us could be like, drive by. And then you just had to hide. That was the game. And if you didn't hide fast enough, you had to pretend die.
Oh my
As a
goodness.
9-year-old, that's not a game that we should be playing. Can you imagine being the driver and you're just like, what the fuck are these kids doing? Why are they scattering around? Like, what the hell?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that's where I grew up. And then I actually moved to Las Vegas after I graduated high school. So I didn't like where I was living. I didn't like my home life. It wasn't all roses and candy canes and whatever the hell, you know, a normal white family does. It's very abusive. But I mean, we grew from that, right? Most comedians suffer from some sort of like family trauma, childhood trauma, stuff like that. And so we've learned to remember those experiences, but then twist it, make it funny, so that other people can laugh at it. Because if it happened to them, they can be like, "Oh, okay, well at least she's laughing about it, so maybe I should stop."
I love that you have in your intro that you have survived a lot and you're here to make other people laugh because of it. Because that's exactly in line what a lot of us do. That's what I like doing for the military shows I do. I know
Oh,
the
yeah.
pain. We know our exact pain and we can go in like a precision and help other people. I know this sounds quirky. Heal. We can help people heal.
Yeah, that's what this is all about. Yeah, I mean, even when I was just like a kid and then a teenager into my 20s and now adulthood, I've always been able to see someone that's like either sad or having a bad day and just be like, "Hey, man, like what's going on?" And they'll usually tell me. I bartend for a living. I've been bartending for 15 years now, so I've been a lot of people's unpaid therapists.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean they tip me, but not as like I don't know. I would be making way more money if I was actually a therapist. But my job is fun and I really like doing it. But you get to meet people from all walks of life. I've bartended in Nevada, in Utah, in Texas, in Colorado. And so, but my gift, the thing that I really like doing, especially when I'm at work, is listening to someone's story, but then helping them laugh. Maybe not laugh about their specific situation, but just like make light of something and just get them to laugh and get them to leave with a smile as opposed to drowning themselves, you know. And nowadays I see the service industry and there's a lot of people that they don't do that. They don't talk to their guests. They just like they serve them and then they walk away. And it's like, well, what happened to like talking to people?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you listen to people, then they will open up. And when they open up, you have an opportunity to be kind and helpful. And, there's not one time I went to the doctor's office feeling so sick and I didn't know what my problem was. And the lady at the front desk was so nice to me, I didn't need to see the doctor.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you just needed a conversation and then go for a walk in the sunshine. Oh, I love walking.
Me
So
too.
annoying. Ooh, yeah.
You do like to walk or it's annoying?
I love it. No, I love it. It's just annoying how much I like it because now I'm getting older, my joints are like, bitch, we're not in our 20s. Why are you walking 6 miles 4 times a week? Why are you doing that?
So do you still bartend across the street from the Arts District Wise
I
Guy?
do. Yep. I
Yay.
still bartend over at Able Baker. Yeah. I mean, it's like the perfect situation. I sometimes I'll get off work and just in time to like run across the street and like go see whoever's playing that night. A wonderful story. Oh my God, about Liz Mealy when she performed on a Sunday night, and I worked the day shift, and I think her show was at like 6:30, and I had already planned on going because she's one of my favorite comedians. I'm not going to say she's one of my favorite female comedians. She's just fucking funny. So she's my
Yes.
favorite comedian. Yes. So I had gotten off work and I think I posted that morning a story that said, "Hey, come see me at Able Baker and then let's go laugh at, the Liz Mealy show." And I had met her in Colorado when she performed there and I lived there. And so she must have seen it, like I was up there, whatever. I walked in and the manager of Wise Guys was like, "Hey, Liz wants to know if you want to do 5." And I was like, "What? Are you serious?" I was not expecting to like be offered like a 5 minute spot, and what a dorky like fangirl of me. And I was just like, oh my God. I was like, yeah, yes, absolutely. The answer is yes. Of course I want to do 5 minutes before Liz Neely. Like, what the fuck? And so that was, but it's that kind of stuff that, position being at the brewery right across the street. And it's, there's going to be more opportunities like that. I've been able to like catch some of my favorite comedians that are, traveling from like Utah, and they come in and perform. And I'm like, hey, I'm clocking out. I'm going to come over and see your show. So it's like the perfect setup. I absolutely love it.
That's fabulous. I love Wise Guys. They've done a lot for me, and as they have for a lot of comedians.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah. So after high school, you say you ran away from home at 17 and
Yeah.
you came to Vegas. Let's hear a little bit about the initial struggles of moving away from home into adulting.
Yeah. Okay. So sorry, that was a very deep growl. I love metal music, so I like to go. I like to metal growl every once in a while. But okay. So at 17, my best friend and I, he was already planning on moving to Las Vegas because he wanted to go to school out here. He wanted to go to UNLV. Big gay black dude, and he wanted to do makeup and costume design. And he was like, "What better city to do that in than Las Vegas?"
Yeah.
And so I was contemplating. I was like, God, I really just want to like. I don't want to be in San Jose anymore. I want to grow as a human. And this is at 17. I was like, get me the hell out of here. But I saved up my lunch money my second semester of high school because I wasn't allowed to have a job. I wasn't allowed to like try to work and like have my own income at 17. And so I did. I think I used to get like $5 a day for like my lunch. And sometimes I would have to eat because I'm like, oh, I need to eat. I can't not eat. But I saved up $300, and that's what I had to my name. So I moved to Las Vegas. I packed like I think I had maybe 10 like little banker boxes. You remember the little, they can get them at like Office Depot or whatever.
Yeah.
I still have like one left. But I packed what I thought were things that I wanted to keep in my life that I thought I would need. I took my like birth certificate, social security card, because I was smart enough to be like, if I'm gonna be on my own, I need identification. I need a proof that I am who I am. But I did that, had the $300, slowly was like packing away things to hand off to my best friend. My parents had no idea that I was doing this. I was going to run away. But I left them a letter, and it wasn't a very nice letter. It was very much we live in America. You can't treat your daughter like you would a daughter in Mexico. I'm not wanting to get, at the time when I was 17, I was like, I don't want to be bred to be a wife, to be a mother, to be all of these things. I want to like live and experience life. And I have a sister, not had, she's still here. I have a sister, and she was younger than me. And I kind of in the letter was just like, please don't do this to my sister. If I find out that she's living a similar timeline like me, then, I'm going to ask her to come with me, kind of thing. I just wasn't down with the idea of a woman is trained to cook, clean, be a mother, all of these things that were pounded into my brain as a child. And so I saw a different life, and I wanted that. Moved here, and he had already had an apartment set up because his mom got him set up. She was on board with like, I'm going to take you away because you deserve to experience a life outside of what you've been raised as. And it was really nice of her, really nice of him to take me in. I ended up getting a job right away at Madame Tussauds Wax Museum. Yep, I was 17. Only had my birth certificate. So they were like, what the fuck? And I was like, hire me. I don't have any experience, but I'm kind of cute and I'll learn. So that was my first job in Las Vegas. I worked at the Wax Museum. And then I got hired. There was like a 3D ride inside the Venetian, and they were looking for like a character to wear a costume and hand out coupons in the mall. Because it's all kind of, so it's the Grand Canal shops. So the museum sits right outside the Grand Canal shops off the strip. And then the 3D ride was like in the food court. But I had made friends with like all the teenagers, and they were all like, oh yeah, well, I also work here. And I'm like, oh, people can have 2 jobs? I was like, I'm going to get all of the jobs. I'm just going to work as much as I can and save money. But I got hired, and I had to dressed like in a dorky princess outfit. Can you imagine this in a princess outfit? No. Somewhere there's a photo. I gotta find it and send it to you.
I want to see that.
That's, and I used to have the disposable, like the disposable camera. So I have a bunch. I think I still have like 6 cameras that need to be developed. I don't know if I can go to Walgreens and do that. But so anyway, so I had 2 jobs. So I was at the wax museum, and then I was a princess in the Grand Canal shops at 17, working 7 days a week, doubles most of the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. What a story. So now you like to be there for people who are hurting. So I do too, and I could go on and on about that, but this is about you. So
No.
tell me what makes you care about how other people are hurting and some of the things you've been able to do for people that are hurting through laughter.
Trying to make me cry right now, young
Yeah.
lady.
No, no. But I mean,
I can't cry before noon.
I just cried the last 3 days. You go ahead and cry.
I love a great cry. Okay. I go to nature. I was up at Red Rock Canyon yesterday for 5 hours. I spent 5 hours in nature. And I just, yeah, thanked the universe for all of her gifts. And, I'm a witchy girl, if you couldn't tell by the decor behind me. He's a weirdo. Okay. But back to that. So I think the reason that I choose to help humans is because there wasn't a whole lot of that for me. And I recognized that at such a young age that I was like, man, like if there was just someone that could have helped me when I was 17 years old, trying to figure out, what the fuck, like I would have eventually blossomed into this wonderful functioning human. Not that I'm not functioning. I live in my own apartment. I pay for all this shit. But I feel like I'm just a beacon of a sort of light. And especially now being sober, there's been a lot of my friends and a lot of acquaintances of them that are just like, oh my God, like I see your journey. I see where you came from, how this substance, you abused it. It kind of took over your life, but then you dug yourself out from under it. And now you're living like this, everyone says that I look happier, that I look healthier, and they just want that for them, but you need to want that for yourself. One example is my brother, my older brother, who, we grew up 4 years apart. So he, remembers a whole lot more of the childhood stuff than I really do. But he went sober in January, and I had just hit my year. So I just hit my year anniversary of being sober. He messaged me, was going through like a breakup with his family. I'm not going to put his shit out on the streets, but was going through a rough time. And he was like, hey, like what helped you when you went through your divorce, when you were trying to rebuild everything for yourself? And I said, staying sober. Absolutely. Because alcohol is a depressant. It's something that brings you to the darkness. And I didn't want that anymore. The whole reason of me wanting a divorce and wanting to get away from that life was because it was dragging me down. And so why would I put a depressant into my body that's only going to make my mind spiral and think about all the darkness? So instead, I took up walking.
Wow. I know we're having reverb with the speaker in your room, but I am gonna, when I share this video after we're done, I'm gonna put in the headline that if you know anyone struggling with drinking, alcoholism, antidepressants, please watch this. That I know somebody right now who is so deep into alcoholism, and it's so sad.
It can be, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that have obviously willpower that don't need to go sober, and those are not the people that I'm trying to reach, or the people that need to hear the message or anything. If you are good to go with having like 2 glasses of wine at dinner and then you go to bed, fucking teach me, but I don't want that life anymore. But I'm talking about like, and there's even been other friends that are just like, hey, it's always something like a life event, right? Like it's a breakup, it's a job loss, it's your weight gain, it's an injury that you sustained that you can't recover from. And so we look to these substances to help ease our pain, but it's only numbing it, and it's only going to amplify once you wake up from it. And then there's the cases where I was just in a constant loop of, well, I'm stuck here, so I'm just going to be stuck here. I'm going to drink, I'm going to be blackout, I'm not going to remember it, and we're just going to roll through the days. And once I saw that pattern. Like I think I woke up one when I was still married, I woke up and my husband at the time was also abusing substance and offered me like an edible or something. And he was just like, here, this will make you feel better. And in that moment, I was like, this is gross. I don't want this. And so I started paying attention and I started to like pull back from drinking and, and edibles and stuff like that. And I was just like, I don't want this life anymore. Like, there's got to be something better than this. And so growth with him wasn't happening. It was going this way. And so I just, being Mexican and Catholic, divorce is never an option. You're not supposed to do it. Once you get married, you're supposed to stay in it. My parents being a perfect example, they've been together for, how old's my brother? 34. So 35 years they've been together. And lots of traumatic stuff happened with my parents, obviously, that I don't want to get too much into because that's their business. But I saw that as my example that I'm supposed to be okay with the abuse. I'm supposed to be okay with being miserable in this marriage. And then something shook me out of it where I was just like, why? Why is that? Why is that the reason that I'm staying here? And even when I told my mom, I had already signed the papers and everything because I didn't want to tell her that we were going through a separation and then a divorce. And then I signed the guys. I told her after the ink was dry that I was divorced and that I was going to be moving out of his house. And I got to write about this still, but her first three questions is, how can we fix this? What did you do? What was the last question? How can we fix this? What did you do? What does he have to say about it? What?
Oh,
Yeah. So, and it's fine. But I, made the decision for myself and I pulled myself out of there. And it was that's been since 2022 is March 4th, 2022 is when I signed the divorce papers and was done. And it's been a weird ride since then, but I did it and I did it for myself. And I would like to think that I'm a much happier, much more evolved person than the person that I was when I was still married and under the, substance or whatever. But yeah, it's the people that find themselves in this loop of, I need to stay drunk. Because I don't want to think about reality. Like those are the people that I'm just like, hey, let's try this for a little bit. Like if that's not making you feel good, let's try something else.
yes, absolutely. Boy, oh boy. There, I hope if you're watching this and you know who you are, if there's any struggle you're having, I'm sure Melissa will love to hear from you.
Yeah.
There's numbers you can reach out to for, abuse of any kind, if you want to call it that. Just, the main thing is we all struggle, and you're not a bad person if you're
No,
struggling. And please hang in there and find things to do that lift you and others around you up instead of pulling you down. That's
exactly.
so important. We just don't want to lose any more people. So many people have become hopeless.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's help out there. There's all kinds of different help. I've had people, just in the comedy scene who have reached out to me. I've never met them in IRL. Is that what you say?
Yeah.
Not hip, Linda. I use my words. But I've had like comedians in different states that, because I talk about it quite a bit on stage and I, put it on my Instagram stories, sometimes in my posts. I do have a private Instagram page where that's like my healing journey. And it's so private because it's private to me. You know what I mean? And I have like, I don't even know, 400 and something of like my friends that are on there that have watched me go from this 20 something year old idiot that doesn't know what she's doing, into marriage, into, abusing alcohol, into crawling out of it. Like they've seen that whole journey. And that page for me is just somewhere where I'm super open because I want the people that I truly value and love to like see that journey. But I do let it bleed into the comedy page as well. But I've had a couple of comedians that are like, hey, like, I'm thinking about going sober, or I'm dabbling in trying to go sober. And that's awesome. Try it for like a day, try it for like a day, try it for like a week, try it for as long as you can. Because I promise you, your body is going to thank you. I promise you, your mind is going to thank you. Are there days where I remember the bad? when because now I'm what, 503 days sober, something like that. I just celebrated 500 a few days ago. And sometimes I'll think about like the past and I'm just like, fuck, like I can't even imagine. I've not had a drop of alcohol. Like, I don't know what alcohol would do to my body now. I'm afraid to find out. I don't want it because if I can hike for 5 hours and feel amazing, I would rather do that than like go somewhere and drink 10 beers, even though I work in the craft beer industry. Yeah, it's not something that I want for myself anymore.
Absolutely. Well, okay, so let's talk about you going from working, um, out in public in the entertainment business on, you had your first two jobs at Madame Tussauds and dressing up in an outfit to princess. Well, let's talk about, okay, from there, how did you do stand up? What happened?
Oh gosh. So fast forward, I've only been doing stand-up comedy for like a year and some change. So I was living in Colorado, and when I got divorced, every night before I went to sleep, I was watching a comedy special. I was jumping on YouTube, I was getting on Netflix, I was on HBO. Whatever had someone's comedy special on that I hadn't seen yet, that's what I was doing because I was trying to program my brain like, hey, we want to fall asleep to something happy. We want to fall asleep to something that's going to make us laugh because laughter releases a beautiful chemical in your body that just like makes you happy and then you fucking fall asleep. It's great. But so when I got divorced, that's what I did. I just watched comedy almost every night, just addicted to it. And I loved it so much. Even when I was younger, I remember watching like Eddie Murphy's Delirious when I was a kid. Richard Pryor. I loved Jim Carrey as a child. I used to watch In Living Color. I watched a little bit of SNL, but then I kind of strayed away from it. But I just remember always wanting comedy in my life. Whenever a boyfriend that I was dating is like, "What do you want to watch?" I know I want to laugh. That's what I want. I don't want to watch some. I've never seen the fucking Notebook. Ugh, no. Okay, I get rom-coms, like whatever, like all the goofy Adam Sandler ones, like let's go. But like, what's the other goofy one that, oh, 50 Shades of Who Gives a Shit? Never seen it. Never gonna. But if you're asking me what I want to watch, it's always gonna be comedy. I want to laugh. And so I was living in Denver, and like one of the meccas for stand-up comedy, right, is Comedy Works downtown. They have two locations now. There's like all of the, it blew up in my face, like all of these little, like tiny little comedy scenes that were happening just in Denver where I was living. And I had the opportunity to go to Brant Tobler has a show, or I don't know if he still has it, but he had it at the time called Your Friend Did What? And it's like a bucket system. So you put your name in the bucket, and if you get pulled, you have to tell like an embarrassing story, either something that happened to you or something that happened to your friend. And so the person I was dating at the time also put their name in the bucket. And it was cool because it was like, I call them real comedians. It was like a real comedian and then a bucket pool, and then a real comedian and then a bucket pool. So when real comedian, my ex, real comedian, and then me. And then when they called my name, I out loud was like, oh, fuck. Never been on stage before. I'd never performed. I've never been funny on stage before. And so I'm like probably wearing the same jacket. But I like started sweating and I'm like, oh, fuck. Like now I got to tell a story. And I was like, oh, I got a good one. There was a really embarrassing sex story that had just happened with me and the guy I was dating. So I told the story, and it got so much laughter, and even the host was laughing. And then there's like a small interview part at the end of it. And we did that. And then after the show let out, he was like saying bye to people. We were taking pictures, you know. So I took a picture with him, and he was like, hey, you were really funny. And I was like, oh my God, thank you. That was my first time. And he was like, what? He was like, okay, if you liked that and you had fun, you should keep doing it. And so had I not gone to Brant Tobler's show in Colorado, thank you, I wouldn't have got the, what do you guys call it? Comedy bug? Is that what it's called?
Yes.
It sounds like I need ointment.
I'm telling you, so much of what you're saying is giving me body chills.
Put a sweater on, a thicker one.
That it just means so much, everything that you're saying. And when it resonates into my heart, that's a good thing. So,
Uh,
yeah, I mean,
touched your heart, girl.
yeah. So, okay, so you've been doing comedy. You once got to open for Liz Mealy, and you work across the street from Wise Guys, and you're
Yep.
in the Vegas scene in case people tune in late. How's the comedy been going?
Oh my God, so much fun. This shit is fun, dude. It is so much fun to just go up there. Like I have so many stories and I have like, I think I'm on my third joke book of just like stuff that's happened. Like I'll wake up sometimes and like roll over on my phone and maybe I could find the folder real quick, but something will like a dream or something that reminds me of like some shit that happened to me when I was a kid. And I was like, oh, I gotta write this shit down. Because if you don't write it down, you're gonna forget.
Yeah.
So if you're watching and you're like, how do I write down jokes? Whenever you think of something funny, write it fucking down. I don't know, I can't find it. But comedy's been going great. I got to do, oh God, I've done so many fun shows and it's only been a year and some change. And it's just blowing my brain how many like fun opportunities there are out there. One of the first comedians that I got to meet when I started going to Wise Guys, when I moved back to Las Vegas, April of last year. And we used to have a bucket night. Same thing. You just put your name in, you get it. It's like an open mic bucket night thing. I remember at one point there was like 75 comics in the bucket and they let everyone perform, which is awesome, but also scary because you're like, wow, I'm going to be here for 5 hours before I can perform. And I didn't know anybody, right? Because I did live here before, but then I moved away 5 years total. So, you know, and the scene just has changed so much. There's so many people that have like just moved here to do comedy, just moved here to like start a new job, whatever. But I remember I didn't know anybody. So kind of like knowing the host of the night is really important on nights like that when there's 75 on the bill, because then they'll move you up further. It's even cooler being a female comic because they want to sprinkle us in, right? They don't want 15 to 20 dudes back to back. That's gay. You need a hoo-ha every once in a while to spice it up. So that was really fun. And I met Kitty Pineapple and Haley Brooks like at one of my first bucket nights. They're so nice. But they kind of both took me under their wing like in a very different way. And just I would go support them at their shows. And I remember my first like big show in my little heart. It was Natasha Leggero. And she was at Wise Guys. It was a Friday, Saturday show, early show, late show, both nights. And I loved her anyway. I fucking love her on the roasts. She's so funny. I've seen her in a bunch of movies, you know, television shows. And so I just wanted, as a fan, I just wanted to go see her set. Kitty actually happened to be a host for both nights. And she was like, hey, if you want to come to the show, you know, let me know. Maybe you can meet Natasha afterwards. And I was like, well, that would be fucking amazing. Because a lot of the comedians that come to Wise Guys and usually any shows, they hang out afterwards because they want to like greet people and meet people. My cat's about to crawl across the keyboard. Excuse me, ma'am. I don't think so. You'll come say hi to the people.
Oh, hi. Aren't you pretty?
Yeah, she's a gangster. She is a stray cat from Salt Lake City that came and found me. So she has her little ear clipped. That signifies that they got she's a girl, she'll spade. Okay, so anyway, what we're talking about Natasha Leggero. I have ADD. So but I went to the first show and I stayed for the late show because I was like, I want to see, I had never really watched the process of like a bigger comedian do two sets back to back because I wanted to see the difference, right? I'm in study mode at this point. I had been in Vegas already. Her show was in like June, I want to say, end of June, something like that. So only a few months of me hitting the Tuesday night bucket nights, which is like a 3-minute set. It's so funny. But I wanted to watch her and I wanted to see her process. And I was like, okay, I get it. I get how it's done. Like there's opportunities to like tweak your sets here and there for each show. And of course, the later show is going to be like filled with more junky people and you can have more fun with them. Or whatever, but I got to meet Natasha Leggero. I got to go to green room and like hang out in the room. And I just made her laugh. I just made her laugh. And I have this bit where I carry a knife on me. I don't have it on right now because I have yoga pants on, but I always have a knife on me because I'm a woman that works in downtown Las Vegas and I'm Mexican. We're going to have a knife. So, but we were in green room and she saw my knife and she was like, oh, she's like, do you use that on stage? And I go, oh yeah, I have this great bit about my ex-mother-in-law. And as I'm saying that, I just whip the knife up and like fling it open. And she was just like, oh, like but she invited both Haley and I to do like 5 minutes at the late show the following night. And as she's asking me, she's like, oh, do you guys want to do 5 minutes tomorrow for the late show? I like deer
Wow.
in deer in headlights in front of Natasha Leggero, another comedian that I think is fucking hilarious. Kitty is in the corner and she's just like waiting for my answer. And she answers for me. She goes, yes. The answer is yes. She's going to do 5 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, yes, no, absolutely. I would love to. That'd be so much fun. So I think that night I went home and like had the happiest tears streaming down my face. And I was just so excited that someone, I made them laugh and they were just like, you must be funny. Let's let you do 5. And I was just like, oh my God. And then the next day, I had to work at the brewery, but I had time beforehand. So I went on like this huge long walk to like think about my set and what I wanted to do. I was working on 3-minute sets for the bucket nights. Like I didn't have a cohesive like full 5 minute. And so I went through, I'm always good about trying to video most of the sets that I do, which is something that's huge because you want to be able to go back as much as you probably hate watching yourself and listening to your voice, you have to be able to go back and like hear the laughter, know which ones were funny, write them down. And then I was able to go through like, I think at that point I had maybe 10 videos, not even, of like sets. And I just cherry picked and I was like, oh, well, this one was really funny. And that one was really funny. And then I had a 5-minute set.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's so encouraging for newer comedians. So if you're out there trying to figure out how you're going to come up with a 5 minute, I struggled with that. You just got the tip how to do it.
Yep. Make sure you record yourself, even if it's like audio on your phone, just record and you have to. It's so cringy. I hate watching myself, but I have to.
Yes. So, okay, so let's talk about some tips you've gotten from other comedians along the way that have helped. And shout outs to people that have like
Yeah.
helped you get better.
Fitzy was one of the very first ones. Sean Fitzsimmons, I think is
Yeah.
his full name, but Fitzy, yeah, here in Vegas, had seen me do like one of the earlier bucket night things. And I am fidgety, okay? I play with everything. And so I was up there and I had Mike, but I was flinging, like I thought I had a fucking whip, with the cord. And but I was like doing gestures with my hands, but you had the cord in my hand and it was funny, whatever during my set. But when I got off, he was just, he gave me the dap and he was just like, hey, that was a really good set. He's like, try not to play with the cord. And I was like, oh, was I doing that? And he was like, yeah. He's like, you were doing that. And I was like, oh shit. Okay, cool. Thank you. Like, I know I would never have thought about that. And I know that there's, like now that I'm thinking about it, like there's some bigger comedians that they fuck around with the cord. But I guess I was doing, and I should see if I could find that video from when I first did it. But I no longer play with the cord, or at least I try not to. I try to I do hand behind my back. Pocket. I do hand in pocket a lot. I do that. I try not to double fist because it looks like I'm about to suck a dick. But yeah. So that was one thing. The other one, oh, who was it? Most of them are just punch ups to things that I'm already saying. So Brittany Doss had a really good one. Shout out Brittany. What's up, girl? She had a really good one when I was talking about, so the first guy that I dated when I moved to Las Vegas was a magician. Yeah. And then I talk about how I dated, or I like dating gay adjacent men. 20s was gay adjacent men. But she gave me an awesome punch up where I say that I moved to Las Vegas when I was 17 and I did what every 17-year-old does. I pause and I wait to, sometimes someone will say stripper. And then I'm like, you wish. But then it's, I dated a magician but then I just kept rolling into the rest of my set. And she was like, hey, because you're trying to set up like the gay adjacent stuff. She's like, why don't you say your gaydar didn't work back then? And I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. Yeah. Hilarious. Cause it's true.
Yes.
Broken. Yeah. So, I mean, there's way more that I can't think about off the top of my head, but like, yeah, Fitzy and Britt.
So after you did comedy and you got to open for Liz Neely and Natasha Leggero, what did they have to say about you and your on stage?
Oh gosh, I mean, just praise. As soon as I got off stage, Liz Mealy was standing right there because she was going up right after. Evan Connolly was the host that night, and so he, we swapped out, and he went up to introduce her, and she just looked at me and she goes, "That was a great set. Did you have fun?" And I said, "Yes, I had so much fun. Thank you so much." And
Wow.
it was just that quick. It was so nice. Same thing with Natasha Leggero. I just remember everyone who I've had the opportunity to open with is, did you have fun?
So great.
Yeah. Because I mean, I've got to open for Josh Blue. That one was fun at Town Square, Wise Guys. Oh my God, Ian Fidance. I just did 5 minutes for him before in Jordan, Utah. So I got to meet him at his show here in Vegas. I had already planned on being up there it's called the Comedy Rumble, where I'm sure, have you done the Comedy Rumble?
No.
Okay. Maybe we should get you to do the Comedy Rumble when you're in town. So
Okay.
it's an awesome concept. It's 8 comedians do 1 minute of new material, and they go head to head, and they move up into like the next round. So it's an elimination thing, and it's audience participation. And I was already on deck to perform in Utah because I had just done the show here in Vegas, met Ben. He invited me to like any show that I wanted to do for the Rumble, in Utah. And so I was already going to be up there, and Ian was going to be performing the night before. And I was like, oh, I can like parlay this shit. That's a Vegas term. Where I, go see comedy, and then I get to do comedy. And it was just going to be the perfect little weekend. But I got to meet Ian Fidance here in Vegas. And I wore my favorite punk jacket. This is my metal jacket. I have one with the Misfits on the back. And he's a huge punk head, or I don't know if that's just, he's a huge punk. And I met him at the end of his show. I bought like a t-shirt. I just fangirl. I love all these people. They've made me so happy and made me laugh so often that I'm just a huge fan. So I talked to him for a little bit, and I was just like, yeah, I was going to see your show in Salt Lake, but then you came here. I'm so going to Salt Lake to perform. He's like, oh, you're a comedian. And I go, yeah, I'm funny sometimes. And he was like, oh, do you want to do 5 minutes before my show when I'm up in Utah?
Wow.
What? Sir? Yes. And so, yeah. So I went up there and I was able to like go do time with him. Same thing after the show. He was just like, did you have fun? And that's what I've learned, that this isn't something that, I mean, yes, there's a lot of obviously comedians that do it for income and do it, for that stuff. But if you forget that it's supposed to be fun, you're not going to have fun up there. Fucking, you're here to play.
Oh my gosh. Well, we're winding down here on this interview. You filled us in on your early life and career after moving out of home and restarting your whole life in Vegas and traveling and getting into comedy. So as we wind down here, tell people what it is you would like them to take away from this interview, and then tell us your socials and upcoming shows.
Okay. I'll have to get on my phone for that. What I want people to get out of this, we have one of these. Live as many lives as you possibly can. Wow. I was a wax museum employee. I was a princess. I was a ballroom dancer. I opened up my own bake shop when I lived in Salt Lake City. I have been bartending for 15 years. I moved to Austin, Texas to help my friends with their cupcake shop. If there's an opportunity for you to live a different life, a different version of you, do it. Fucking do it. What do you have to lose? There's nothing to lose. Unless you have children and a husband, then maybe like reconsider. But you are a person that has so much to give and you want to try 1,000 different things, do it. Go for it.
That's so cool. I love that. That's great encouragement. If you're out there and you're like stuck in a rut, you don't have to be. Listen to Melissa Diaz. So Melissa, we have to know how to support you. So we know it's a numbers game, getting booked around the country, etc. So how can we help your career with the numbers?
Just follow the Instagram handle. It's Diaz the comedian on Instagram. Because unfortunately the game of comedy is how many followers you have, because eventually you'll post about the shows that you're in, and if you have more followers, that's more eyes. Come out to the shows in person if you're in town. I host a comedy show every second and fourth Tuesday at Cornish Pasty in the Arts District of downtown Las Vegas, 7:30 p.m. We have rotating hosts. So if you're a comedian in Las Vegas and you want an opportunity to host one of the shows, let's talk about it. Hit me up there. Come see me at the brewery. That's where I practice a lot of my shit. And
The
so
able.
the Able Baker Brewing in the Arts District, right across the street from Wise Guys. My next show is actually in 2 days. It's at Hamburger Mary's. And Cookie and Ray actually booked me for that show. And it's going to be really fun. I get to do 10 minutes and talk about all my dating history. So if you want to come hear about the gay adjacent men, come out. Hamburger Mary's, that one's at 8 p.m. I'm doing Skippy Sprinkle Presents show. That's on Mother's Day. Even though I'm not a mother, I'm going to tell you some jokes about him. Probably tell you the cute little quirks that my mom has been giving me over the years. And then the bigger show, though, is going to be the Comedy Rumble on May 31st, where I'm going to have the opportunity to host with Ben, which is going to be so much fun. So get your tickets for that. That's on their Wise Guys website as well. But yeah, it's just come follow me. Let's have fun.
That's awesome. You're the best, and I can't wait to see you again in July.
Yes,
Thank you
ma'am.
thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I'll put this on YouTube and send it to you to share.
Let's party.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. See you in IRL.